Hello, welcome to this video. And on this video, I'm going to be explaining, I'm not just going to tell you, I'm going to explain why I'm not playing prog anymore. I put a video out last week and I said, I'm done. I've had it. I'm not playing in any bands anymore. And I went through how rubbish the music industry is now, but how brilliant their other opportunities are. And if you play the game like you used to in the old days by being in a band and trying to make albums go out and gig, you get nowhere. But there's another way of being creative and doing exciting things, and being in a band's a waste of time. So I didn't want to be in a band anymore. So I've left all the bands. But the eagle-eyed of you will have noticed that I haven't left all the bands. I've left all the bands but one. I'm still in Law of Three. And you know why I'm still in Law of Three? Because Law of Three is not a prog band. There's another issue here, right? I don't want to play prog anymore, right? Now, I could just say that, I woke up one day and thought, I don't want to play prog anymore. It's like you have to sit down, the tracks go on for 20 minutes, you got to learn all these arrangements and try and memorize it. My memory's getting bad as I get older. And then there's all these different time signatures and tricky bits, and you've got to come out being really clever. And then the audience is all anal retentive, and they don't like when you go wrong or do something different. And so they'll have a go at you. So you've got to get exactly right. There's no improvisation anymore. There's no experimentation. It's just become this sort of middle of the road pap, which is the only redeeming feature is it's a little bit tricky to play. Video done then. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, then you can like it. If you want to see some more, you can subscribe. Subscribe right now. Go on, subscribe now, because there's more viewers watching now. So if I say subscribe now, every other YouTuber does it. I'm going to start doing it. I'm going to start to say right at the beginning of the video, everybody's doing it now. Have you noticed on YouTube? Everybody's doing it. It's like they go, hello, welcome to this video. But before we start, here is a message from our sponsors. Of course, my sponsor, if I had one, and I'm putting it out there, would be, of course, Greg's. If you want to get some food in and you're a little bit hungry and you don't care what you eat, then nip over to Greg's and get some starchy goodness. Walk in there with your money in your hand and say, can I have a sausage roll, a cup of coffee and a jam donut, please? And they will give you one. And then you will be able to walk away and eat it in this lovely bag, which features two colours, white and blue. Greg's. And if you now go to the link below, this is a joke, by the way, there's no link below. I might put one, actually. There is a link below. If you go to the link below, you can go and look at the Greg's website. You can't put in a special code, Andy says eat Greg's, because that doesn't exist, because they bloody haven't given them. Bloody Greg's. I'll be here every single day eating Greg's. The other day I was having a coffee all the way through it. Drink. They're only up the road. You'd think they'd be out there, wouldn't you? You'd think they'd be out there going, there's this bloke, he's doing these videos about prog, but he's drinking Greg's. Well, why don't we give him some free Greg's and he can sponsor us? That'd be bloody good. He'll sell loads, won't he? Yeah, of course he will. He'll be on there, stuffing his face, with jam donuts, going, really good, really Genesis, any good when Steve Hackett left. Right, so, Greg's, they have no interest in my channel. But I tell you who does. Prog magazine. So last week, I put on this video and I was going to do this. I didn't talk to Prog magazine. Now, Prog magazine have looked after me over the years, and I thank them for that dearly. When I have had an album out, they have done articles on us. They have reviewed my live gigs. They have always looked after me, and they have championing the bands I'm in. Okay? And I'm very grateful for that. And but you've got to understand that every time that we got in Prog magazine, it's because we went to Prog magazine and it says, do you want to do an article on us? They never came to us. Why would they come to us? There's no reason to come to us. They're getting on with stuff. They got bigger fish to fry, like Rick Wakeman and Peter Gabriel. I don't think they've had Peter Gabriel in it. Have they had Peter Gabriel in Prog magazine? That would possibly be the best person they could ever have in. Right? So they're going to be after him. Peter, is there any? Yeah, it's Jerry Ewing here, yeah. Jerry Ewing, yeah. This isn't a very good impersonation of Jerry Ewing, also. You want geezer, it's Jerry Ewing here. Yeah, mate. Is that Peter Gabriel? Yeah, I just want, I mean, I know I've rung you up. I know I rang you up last week about this, yeah. I know. I don't want to get on your nerves, Peter, but if any chance that, we were thinking, and we've done a lot of articles on you, I know, but I was wondering if you could go through your underpants, and we could go through your drawers and just see. I mean, do you have any underpants from the classic Genesis period from before 1974? No. Well, I mean, surely you should have kept those. They'd be worth a lot of money now, wouldn't they? Oh, you've got a lot of money. Yeah. Well, I'll ring again next week. No, I will. I'll promise, Peter. But if you're not interested, anyway, I'm in a silly mood today. I was going to do a serious video here, but this is a silly one. And I need to get serious because I am actually saying quite an important announcement. I don't want to play prog anymore. They know that, Andy. You've just told them that. Right. So, Prog magazine. I'm back on track. I woke up this morning and Prog's magazine had done an article on me. It was on their website. Andy Edwards is leaving all the bands. He doesn't want to play it anymore. He says the music industry is a waste of time. Blah, blah, blah. And then I had a little ton of messages from other older men who played prog bands going, you're so right, Andy. I've been banging my head against the brick wall. Why are we all doing it for? All right. Let's step back, shall we? Because this is not the first time this has happened with me. In 2009, I gave up the prog back then. Quite spectacularly, right? So let me tell you the story of how I gave up prog, how I came back to it, and why I'm giving it up now. Are you sitting comfortably? So in 2005, bored with playing around the UK and European blues scene and doing the 3 beats required to play the blues, which is a shuffle, a sort of funky rock beat, and a slow 6/8. So I'd got all those down and I'd played them a million times. I was like, oh God, I can't take this anymore. Why, oh why isn't there the opportunity to play in 13/8? That's all I asked for. I just want to play in 13/8. And then lo and behold, because when you ask the universe for something, you get it. And before I knew it, there was an audition for IQ, which was a band that I was aware of because I'd been a fan of the sort of neo-prog scene back in the early days. I really liked Palace because the bloke had that mask on and he was scary. But IQ were very good. I thought, bloody hell, IQ, they play in 13/8 every now and then. I'll do that. Went to the audition, got the gig. And as soon as I joined that band, it was incredible because I got welcomed into this world of prog, which was inverse to the rest of the music industry. Right? They liked you to overplay. They liked you to be unfashionable. They liked you to go on for too long. Everything else that I've been told was the reason why I hadn't made it in the music industry was now positive things. It was all brilliant. And started working with IQ. And the next thing I know, I'm out doing these gigs and there's like 1,000 people turning up and I'm sat there going, bam, 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 doing all the things I love doing. It was absolutely brilliant. And then because I'm in IQ, the phone starts ringing and I start joining all sorts of other bands. And then Jem Godfrey rings me up. Do you want to put this new band together called Frost? Well, I don't know because I'm in IQ. I don't know whether I want to join your rotten stinking nobody band. Well, I'll send you a check through. So Jem sent me Black Light Machine through and I remember receiving it. And I went, oh my God, this man has redefined what progressive rock is by mixing neo-prog values with a modern production sensibility that comes from electronica and pop music. I'm in. And so I got into that band. And that was a lot of fun. Went in and recorded the album. But when the album came out, due, I think, down to a little bit of record company shenanigans and wants, I didn't seem to really appeal. I'd done the album, recorded the drums, but I wasn't really on it. It was all computers. And I noticed all the vocals were tuned in and everything. It was a good album and it sounded brilliant, but I didn't really feel like I was on it. And I was a bit like, ooh, I don't know about that. But we went off and we had a great time and everyone was going great. And then, I suddenly am appearing in polls. I've suddenly got some sort of level of fame. And at the same time, I was doing drum clinics. It was all brilliant. I was out being a proper drummer. I was playing all, really complex stuff. I was like one of the top drummers, doing all the fast rolls, fast fills. I was there doing it all. This is my life's ambition. This is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But I'll give you an example of what it's like being in a prog band. I can remember doing a gig with IQ in Aschaffenburg. And it was a really good gig. You know, we'd really pulled it off. You know, it was really, you knew it was a good gig. And so when you've done a good gig, you get off stage, you towel yourself down, and then you walk out into the audience to feel the love. It's very important. As you walk in, everyone goes, that's the new drummer from IQ. Let's go over and talk to him. And they would come up, can I have your autograph? Yes, I'll sign your autograph because, you know, I'm a big deal. There you go. So there we go. Andy Edwards, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, big deal, big deal, big deal. So you're walking around doing the big deal. And this bloke came up to me and he went, I don't know how you can play Headlong off the album The Wake. Why? Because on your kit, you've only got 4 toms. And when Paul Cook recorded the original recording of it, he used 5 toms. Yeah, but I'm not playing the parts that are on. I'm making me up. What, you're not playing your own parts? No. I could see them all. The audience was all going to turn on me. I had to get out of there. He didn't play the exact parts. He hasn't got exactly the right drum kit with the right amount of toms on it. I can't believe it. If I go and see IQ, I want to have the correct amount of toms. If he hasn't got the correct amount of toms, what's he even doing the gig for? All right. And I started to notice this trait. It was the most unprogressive thing. I'm not sure whether that is prog rock that you're playing. Why? Well, it had a dance beat in it at one point. The rest of it was all prog, but I believe the fact that you've included a dance beat negates the idea that it's prog. Well, what's prog? Well, really, you need to have a 7/8 time signature, maybe some sort of mellotron. You need to have a Moog synthesizer for solo, played on a real Moog, not one of these virtual ones. That is proper prog. You know, wear a cape. Stand there looking pompous, you know, all these things. I started to realise that my idea of progressive, which was that you can just do whatever you want, that thing that I found exciting when I joined it. We haven't got to write pop songs, we haven't got to do this, we can just do whatever you want, yeah. So I can just like fart into a bottle and record it, and then we can just put some drums over it. If you want, yeah, it's progressive, you know. They'll listen to anything, that lot. You know, they're all into bloody Can and Magma. They'll listen to anything, that lot. Oh, bloody hell, this is brilliant. Let's have a go then. Right. No, you can't do it. You can't do it. Why? Well, we all pretend we love all that stuff, but really, all we really want is something that sounds like Pink Floyd, you know. A couple of chords seesawing back, you know, songs about politics, not about love, and then a nice, tasteful guitar solo, preferably that goes, woo, woo, woo. If you can put a few of those in with a few mellotrons in the background, you'll have it made. And, I was going, yeah, but it's really hard to do that. Pink Floyd had loads of money, didn't they? They had loads of money. They got Alan Parsons producing them. We're not that size. We're just a little band, you know. We're doing it on our own. So we have to do it in a, you know, I had to do most of this in the bedroom. And so it's really hard. Well, why don't you just, like, don't put any real drums on it or real bass play? Why don't you just program it, all these virtual instruments? But they don't like it. We'll con them. We'll tell them and we'll pretend it's real. How will we do that? We'll take a photograph of the band, stick it on the band. There's nobody really playing on it, really. It's all production, isn't it? All this stuff started to get me down immensely. Also, I became aware that, how do we put it? Eventually, because prog albums take years to make, which is completely against my basic view of the world, because I like to go, let's get in there, let's be experimental, let's go mad, and let's make an album and get it out there and move on, and just let's go, you know, like progressive rock albums were made in the 1970s, you know, let's get in there, experiment, go mad, and get out. But no, these albums took year after year. We kept turning back up, recording a little bit more, you know, being there for a weekend, we got 4 bars done. Yeah, I think that's all right. How many takes did I do on that bit? We've done 138, but I think we can get something out of that. All this was going on, right? Eventually, after spending the band's money, these albums start to come out. You know, Frost brings out Million Town, IQ brings out Frequency, okay? And at the time, when I was in IQ back then, our keyboardist was a guy called Martin Orford that we affectionately called Widge, or Widger, or The Widger. I will call him Widge. And Widge not only played keyboards, but he ran their independent record label. And I can remember that we made this album, and we'd sit down. This is back in 2008, right, 16 years ago. We made this album, and once you got it out, you have to send it to a distributor. So you get all the CDs. These will cost you like 20,000 quid to make these CDs. You got to make your money back. So you stick it in your van or whatever, and you get it down to the distributor. And the distributor then posts it out, and it goes to all the specialised record shops all over the country. And then fans would walk in and go, oh, I wonder what's happening today. Let's have a leaf through. Oh, there's a new IQ album. I'll have that. I didn't plan on having it, but I want that one, the new IQ album. There's no internet. There's no Spotify. The only way I can listen to it is with this album. I know you've got it because you distributed it. So all these albums were distributed out there. Then the company that was called Pinnacle that did the distribution collapsed, because online these things had emerged called torrent files, and websites usually in Russia owned by gangsters were basically creating torrent files to draw people to their websites to do what, I don't know. When Frequency came out, I rang up Widge and I said, how's it going? He says, it's not good, Andy. He said, Google Frequency IQ, which I did. There's about 1,000 websites with a torrent file that you could just click on and get the whole album. He goes, I'm spending all my time fighting against these illegal websites, trying to shut them down. He said, but I'm getting threatened. And because of that, no one's buying the album, and Pinnacle's gone down. So all the CDs are now just stuck out there. I said, what can we do? Can we get them back? No, because there's no distribution company. There's no mechanism now. They're just there. They will sell those off really cheap. We won't be able to recoup any money. I said, well, what you do? When he says, I'm giving up. I'm going to go and drive trains, which is precisely what he did. It was such a shock. And then I saw the these torrent files, this idea of file sharing, this idea that the music you could go and get for free. And I was doing it, you know. I can remember, I grew up not really listening to Gentle Giant. I never listened to them. When I joined IQ, I never listened to a Gentle Giant album. I know that's a terrible admission. And because I was in IQ, someone said, have you heard Gentle Giant? I went, no. Oh, you've got to hear Gentle Giant. So I'd listen to it. Oh my God, this is incredible. So I went online and found a torrent file that gave me all the albums, and I stick them on my little iPod, and then I listened religiously through them one after the other for about 6 months. That's how I discovered Gentle Giant. Not the old way that I discovered Genesis or Yes. You know, with Yes, I got the Yes album, and then I went out and got Yes shows. Then I went out and got Fragile. I can remember each huge event as I got the next album and put it on, you know, and being more and more blown away. God, Fragile's incredible. I thought the Yes album was amazing, but Fragile's just incredible. I'm going to get the one after it then, Close to the Edge. Oh my God, incredible. You know, I'll go and get Yes songs. It's a big, oh my God, it opens up. Look at the size of it. And all these beautiful paintings on it. It's all amazing. You know, it was a journey. But now Gentle Giant got all the albums, got no artwork. I don't know which track goes with what. Don't know the names of it. I don't know who was on the album. But I'm listening to it. It's just a big wodge of incredible prog coming at me. So I was doing it. We were all doing it. And then you saw that become nailed. It got like, well, we've got Spotify now. What Spotify? It just does it legally now. There's nothing you can do about it. Well, you don't get paid at all. Oh, you do get paid, you know. If someone listens to your track, you get 0.00001 of a pence. Oh, is that good? Well, it depends how many people listen to your track. Well, in the old days, someone would buy the album, and then they probably listen to that track for like the next 20 years. So that, you know, they might listen to it like 100 times or 200 times, that track. Yeah. What would that add up to? Well, I don't know. About a pence. Well, that's all I get. Well, no, because that pence is shared out, isn't it? Who's it shared out with? Well, okay, we take a bit of it. We only take 40%. The rest goes to the record company. Well, how much does the record company give me of that? I don't know. What's your deal? I don't know. I'll have a look. I haven't ever looked at it. Let's have a look. This isn't real. This is pretend. Oh, here we go. I get 15% of the net profit. 15%. So I'm going to get 15% of 60% of 0.0001 of a pence. Yeah. Well, how's about anyone make any money out of it? Well, own your own records, don't have a record company, and make records that millions of people want to listen to. Well, why would they want to listen to it? I don't know, because you're promoting it on TikTok or maybe Instagram, and you have lots and lots of people, and they listen to it all the time, and it's getting shared in that way. I know, but I make prog. I don't really make me. Our tracks are 20 minutes long. Oh, well, 20 minutes long. Look, I ain't got time for this. And I haven't got time for it. And so in 2009, I decided to stop. Now, the thing that, there's two things that sort of motivated that decision. Frost was off and on. Jem had really taken on board my dislike of all this computerization. And when we made it Experiments in Mass Appeal, my real drumming's on it. I was pleased with what I'd done. But the fans didn't like it. They wanted Millitown. You know, I still think that Experiments in Mass Appeal is a better album than Millitown. I think it's a better album, but nobody else does, you know. And so that didn't go down well. Then we were asked to go to the States, and I'm going to let you know a bit of a secret. If you're in a progressive rock band, you're not that well known. When you go to the States to do some touring, if you had to pay for the work visa to go, you wouldn't be able to afford to go. So, you know, you tend to sneak into the United States. So not that I'm ever going to go back there again, but so it doesn't really matter. But that's what happens. And after doing that a couple of times, I being a nervous type, didn't like it. So I turned down the chance to go to play Rosfest, and they got old Nick DiVigilio in to replace me on an album which was called the Philadelphia Experiment. But on there was a great big long track. I think it's the Frostfest track. It's called The Dividing Line. And I worked hard at it. And when it came out, the modern production methods, which I admit you have to have, this is what sells a record. I don't know what I'm doing this for. I don't know. And I was a bit perturbed by this. But then we got asked to open up for Dream Theater. Now, we did the sort of 2 or 3 gigs, I think it was, in the UK opening up. But the original option was for us to do a lot more, and this would really consolidated the band. But by this time, I was 40 years old. The rest of the guys were 40 years old. And when the idea came of leaving our families and leaving our kids and going off around the world supporting Dream Theater, nobody wanted to do it. It hit me. I thought, nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants to do what it takes to be in a band anymore. They want to play at it, right? There's nobody actually playing on the records. The audience is like anal retentive, and they don't want to hear anything new. They just want to hear what they've heard before. That's what makes them happy. The whole thing is a waste of time. And back then, I decided, right, to go and get a job, which I did. And I went and got a job as a teacher in a college. And I decided to opt out of everything, right? So I got so sick of it all, we got rid of our television. There was no television in the house. We had a television, but we just had a DVD player. So if you wanted to watch something, we had to have it on DVD. There was no aerial. There was no way of watching TV. We had no internet, and I smashed my mobile phone. I was quite well known in a bizarre way in the early 2010 as being the guy that you couldn't call up, you couldn't email, nobody had my number, nobody knew where I was. I wasn't on the internet, I wasn't on Facebook, I wasn't on this, I wasn't on that, right? I disappeared off the face of the earth, and I decided just to go to do what was lucrative for me, which was easy, and not fog my brain with all this silly prog, and I started to go and teach, and I really enjoyed it. Back then, music education, still respected creativity, and I was allowed to put my creative ideas, and I had an incredible time. The students would come in, we would really explore some creative stuff. They loved it, I loved it, and I feel some of the most creative work I ever did was in those early days at the college when I was teaching, so I was happy. But, you know, when you're a teacher, you're not making much money. And I sat down with my wife one day and I said, look, I can make more money. And she says, how? I said, I can teach drums. I said, I used to have lots of students. She said, well, why would anyone come and see you? I said, because in the old days, I used to do stuff and people knew who I was because I played in the prog bands. So what are you thinking of doing? What I'm thinking of doing is going back onto the internet, and I'm going to set up some sort of thing that will get me out there again. I'm going to launch myself back on. I'm going to start doing sessions, and I'm going to start teaching. And I did all those things. And the first session I did was for the 27 Club, which was an album by Magenta. And I had to negotiate with Rob Reed when he rang me up, because he was the one person who had my number. And he kept ringing up saying, I want you to be on an album. I'm not doing it. I'm out of it. I don't want to do it. And eventually, when this thing came out, I thought, I'll do this album, but give me a little bit of profile. And then, I might be able to pick up some students, make a bit of extra money. And so he rings me up and says, do you want to play on the Magenta album? Well, only if there's no drum replacement, you don't quantize me. I said, I don't mind you editing my drums, but I want to be edited just sections. I want to be able to play the whole section. I want to go to a proper recording studio with a proper engineer, with a glass thing, and I want to be able to look through it and play real drums. So it's me drumming on the album. And he said, we will do all of those things because I want to do that too. And it was an incredible experience. And I am so happy with my drumming on the 27th Club. That is me playing some serious prog drums, and it's real drums, really played, and you can hear little bits of wobbles and mistakes, but I love it for that, right? And I thank Rob Reed for giving me that and getting me back on track. So I then think, what will my outlet be? And I can remember sat at the kitchen table, and I was made some notes, and I thought, set up a YouTube and do videos where you talk about prog and you do proggy things. That's an idea, could do that. Set up a Bandcamp and make albums. And I made a big mistake. Back in 2000, this would have been around about 2012, 2011. I could have made the decision to go down the YouTube route then, but I didn't. I went down the Bandcamp route. And what that required was me spending thousands of pounds building a studio where I could record my albums. I set up the Bandcamp. I went and got all my old albums. I made a couple of solo albums that I used to sell on clinics when I was going out and doing drum clinics. So I got those, I remastered those, and I put those out. And then at that point, my dad died. And I was very upset, as you are when your dad died. So I decided to make a tribute album, which is me playing jazz standards that he's liked. So I made this album. My dad was called Mike, and I made that album, and I put it out, bang, onto the Bandcamp. So suddenly I was making new albums. That's actually, my original idea was just to put all my old recordings up, and hopefully the audience, the tiny audience that was there from the IQ Prog days, would hook in and start to listen to all this weird stuff I was doing. Little did I know that they didn't want to listen to it because A, it wasn't prog, and B, it was too weird. But that's another story. Well, it's not another story. It's a story we're telling now. So I suddenly put this album out, and I enjoyed doing that. So I then started in my spare time thinking, I'm going to make solo albums. I'm going to release them on Bandcamp. That will start to make a little bit of income. I'm back in the game. I'm going to make these. And I saw these albums on Bandcamp as being different to the proper albums I was now making in the prog world. So in the prog world, you had a label or some sort of finance. You went to a proper studio. You spent a long time doing it. It was all recorded properly. You got it mixed and mastered, and then it was pushed out on CD. It went to distributors, and it all was a proper album. And that was me doing proper albums. My music wasn't like that. If I had to cut corners, I did, because I just wanted to get the music out there, So stick a few mics up, try and record this, I had to mix it myself, try and master it. My mate Rob Grow came in, he started mastering the stuff, which made it sound a lot better. I was really enjoying that, except at the end of the month, I would look after spending quite a lot of time making these albums, and it would literally be like, have I sold any albums? No, 0. Right, someone must have listened to it. You had, in March, 11 plays. So I started pushing it, and I started marketing. I set up a Facebook, and I started to say, I started to get some followers, and I ended up with a few followers. I got 1,000 people on my Facebook. Got a new album now. 35 quid, you can go and buy it at Bandcamp and go back. Sold 3 copies. 15 quid. Bandcamp took its cut. 12 quid came back to me. £12, that took me 3 months to make that album. Right? I should have gone down the YouTube route. The reason why I didn't was because my brain was still working on this idea that you have to be a sort of band, or a brand at least, and you have to make an album. Then once you've got that album, you have to market it, and preferably go out live and do all, make a CD, go and sell and do all these things. And what's interesting is as we went into lockdown, the COVID era, my idea was, right, we're all stuck at home, let's make an album. I was still thinking in that mindset, and we made the Rain album. But something much weirder happened. Because I was bored, I started to do YouTube videos, and I started to do whatever I wanted. I always thought my YouTube channel would be about drums because I'm a drummer, and I'd stuck a whole ton of drum content up there. It hadn't really done anything. And then I just start sitting down and talking like this, talking about what I love. And here we are now. And that process for me I have relearned, or I have learned new things regarding creativity and music and how it works. And this is why I made the announcement that I am out of the bands. But also, if you track this through, it made me realize how pointless it is making progressive rock albums, because you have a choice of two things you can do. You can make an album that you want to make, which people will then say is not progressive rock because it transgresses the very strict rules that make something progressive rock. And the audience is fixed in their ways, and they happen to be a very anal retentive audience. So they like things neat and tidy, and they like, the world to have strong, delineation around it. They need to know that that is that and that's not that. They need to know that if you're playing a song that's got 5 toms on it, that you're playing a drum kit with 5 toms on it. That is basically what I became aware the prog audience likes. So they love a list, and I have no problem with that. I can come on here and do prog lists and the cows come home. And I can even enjoy the fact that the lists are objective and subjective all the time, and I enjoy the quandary that it puts those anal retentive prog fans in that goes, Andy said that these are the 10 greatest prog bands, and yet he's happened to miss Griffin off. How can you miss Griffin off? There's those there, and then the other lot going, this is not right, you cannot be objective about such a thing, it's just personal taste. And I enjoy that because it opens up that little crack where we can start to talk about art, and we can start talking about music and why it's important. And I think we agree it's all important. Now, I haven't said goodbye to anything, right? I'm going to be doing more. I'm going to be playing the drums more. I'm going to be making more music. I'm going to be making more records. I think I'm even going to probably end up doing more gigs, but I'll be doing gigs on my terms. So, in a week's time, as I'm filming this, I have the great Jim Mullen, a legendary jazz fusion guitarist and now sort of jazz guitarist, is coming down to this very room. He will come in here. We're not going to go out and do a gig. We're going to do it here. I'll be able to record it all. I'm going to invite some of my friends down, and we're going to sit down and play with the lights on in the comfort of this beautiful room. And we will have a relaxed play. I might film it, you might even watch it on here, who knows what will happen. And if I watch it on here, hopefully my fan base will go, well, Andy's got Jim Mullen, he's actually in his studio, they actually just came in and played. What did they just play? Yeah, well, they didn't fix it afterwards with Orchard, no, he just played. They just played, this is it. Watch him, it's all quite good. Andy was a bit rough here and there, Jim Mullen was good, but Andy was a bit rough here and there, but I just love it because it's just real. He's just coming in and playing music, and I could go back to that, I can go back to the thing I love, right? Progressive rock has become its own worst enemy. It will eat itself. Its anal retentive adherence to what it believes is progressive rock, which we all know castrates the very thing, the two big prog balls, the balls of prog, which is the promise and idea that you might do something new or original or avant-garde or exploratory or shocking. Now, as we get to the end of this video, I am now going to do the like and subscribe bit. So please put a like on it. I think I did it early on, didn't I? So I'm going to do it again. And subscribe. Now, you know all that, right? That is currency in the industry. You putting a subscribe on here, when you put a subscribe on here and I get more subscribers, I become a vessel for truly progressive music because there's no rules here. I can do whatever I want. And my want is to do really exciting music. And I actually would love to be inviting some of the legends of prog, some of the incredible musicians I've worked with down to this room and getting in here and doing what they want, because we do not have to sell an album. We don't have to put it in a box. We can do whatever we want. And what you will see is the truth of what these musicians feel and want to express in the moment at that time. Not just some guys going, right, what do we need to do to make the next album? All right, we've got to have a Viff in 7. This is so important that I make this change. This is so important. Now, so I'm going to stop now because I'm just going on for too long. Put a like on it and subscribe. If you want to become a patron, if you go over to my Patreon, I've just dropped 2 little documentaries into my Patreon. One of them, if you become a free member, you can watch for free. And it's a short 20-minute film which explores the beginnings and origins of prog. And I made a little bit of a mistake, because when I put the voice down, I was doing it live and streaming and doing it like that. So when I put the voice down, my voice is a little bit quiet. So I thought, I'll put this out for free. It's not quite there, but I think I've nailed it. This is the whole thing. You are seeing the unfolding of me exploring how to do this as opposed to playing the drums, which I've done for years. If you go watch that documentary, what you will be shocked at is if when you go back to this covers the period from 1960 to 1970, it sort of looks at the development of prog. And what you see is out of these quite humble beginnings, these mixes of sort of experimental jazz with pop music, bits of rhythm and blues, and, bits of the Beatles and stuff like that. Suddenly, the music becomes totally out there and weird and strange. And you feel like the kids that were making that music were trying to bust open society. That's where progressive rock started. Now, I don't expect, people of our age to be able to do that type of thing. But it would be nice to just remember that and get to do what you want. Anyway, so, nip over to Patreon. You can become a free member or pay member. If you don't want to do that and, you've enjoyed the video and you want to support me, then there's a PayPal tip jar down below and you can financially support me. I really believe that the future of music depends upon the charitable donations of the fans to keep the music going. I think that will become the new way in which we support true creativity. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you on the next one.